It seemed like it was so amazing. It seemed like it was such an experience. It seemed like it was this transformative, um, you know, this magical experience. So the sex, I wanted to know more. Tell me about the sex. Hey family, welcome. It is your friend, your sister, your partner, Coach Kat Ajayi. I'm so excited to be here with you. And family, you know what? This is a very important video. I'm sharing my testimony, y'all. I'm sharing my testimony. This is something I've wanted to do for years. I've wanted to do this for years. I didn't know how to approach it. I didn't have the courage to talk about it, but now I truly feel it is time to, time to just put it all out there, not for myself, but for you. And this is why. So often we have been, told to keep it to ourselves, or to overlook it, or to just get past it, or whatever the case may be. But a lot of us have been influenced in ways that has tremendously impacted our life. And if we do not unpack this, and if we do not dig deeper, and if we don't even hear the testimonies of others overcoming such circumstances, it leaves many of us stuck. So it is my objective to share with you in my brokenness how, God, YAHUAH Elohim has elevated me out of the depths of despair, how he has elevated me out of the spirit of sex addiction, how he's elevated me out the spirit of darkness, out the spirit of alcoholism, out the spirit of incontentment, and how he's elevated me out of these things, to move me into ministry, to move me into confidence and boldness, family, and to ultimately put me in a place where he is orchestrating and I am living the life I was created to live. And now, do I have a way further to go? Absolutely. But he has put me on track to live the life I was created to live. Unlike me believing that it was all over, I know with Father that this is just the beginning. So I want to encourage somebody today, because in this world of negativity, in this world where they're telling you who you can't be, what you're not valued as, where they're trying to drive you crazy, trying to make you, y'all, it is time for us to truly align with what's perfect. It's time for us to align with what is true. It is time for us to align with what is going to ultimately move us into our purpose, and to ultimately inherit the kingdom for eternity. That's what this is about, y'all. So I pray you hear this testimony. I pray you are moved by it. I pray it helps you to break through some of your own situations, because listen, in Revelation 12:11, it says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, right? And they love not their lives unto the death, y'all. So we overcome by these things. Testimonies are so important for us to overcome. I know even in my own life, it is the testimonies of others that I've heard that gave me the courage and the strength and to keep going, because I said, if y'all can do it for them, y'all can do it for me, right? So I want you to believe the same thing today. I am no one special. There is nothing special about me, family. I am a child of the Most High, and if you make that decision, you are a child as well. So there is nothing that is more, impressionable about me. I just choose to follow the word of God rather than the voices and the systems of this world. And I'm telling you, I believe if you choose to do the same thing with your life, Yah will change your life forever. And I mean that because it's happened for me. So I'm going to share my testimony, y'all. So you're going to see me looking down because I'm literally condensing almost 38 years I'm going to try and keep this within 45 minutes. If I have to do a part 2, I will. But I want to, really touch on the points that are important. I was the only child. I was raised as the only child, born in the 80s. I'm an 80s baby. 80s baby, you know what I mean? And I'm thankful for that. Wonderful experiences through that. Got to see true life because of that. And I'm not going to say true life, but I had the opportunity to experience life outside of technology and all that stuff. So I really, I was able to be a kid. We played outside. We jumped rope. We, rode bikes. I'm so thankful that I grew up in that era. You know what I mean? But, I was an 80s baby. I was born to my parents, right? They were about 22 years old. My parents, they're still married to today, but I was born to them at about 22 years old. So again, at that time, they weren't married. So, I came along. I was a blessing, of course, but I, may not have exactly have been planned. You know what I mean? My mom, she was still living at home when I was born. I was essentially raised by my grandparents. She was living at home. Her and my dad, my dad got, found a place with my grandmother, bless her soul, may she rest in peace, and God bless her soul. She, wanted to raise me, right? So I'm not sure if, my grandmother was a very feisty little person. And I'm not sure if she was probably like, okay, you guys are young. You're just getting a place. Let me help you. I will take care of her, or what? I don't know what the deal was with that. But essentially, my parents, they moved out. I stayed and lived with my grandparents. So it was myself, my grandmother, my grandfather, and my aunt. And then when my aunt, had her daughter, my cousin was there as well. And, I would see my parents on the weekends. So, I was living basically two lives, if you will, right? Because my grandparents, very reserved. It was quiet. It was, don't you run around my house. You ain't doing this in my house. It was very strict, right? And praise Yah for that structure. And of course, I didn't really realize the strictness until I got older, of course, and wanted to do my own things. And we'll talk about that. But, my grandparents, quiet, collected. I was definitely very attached to the men in my life. My grandfather, loved him to pieces. When I say my grandfather and my grandmother were complete opposites. My grandfather, like 6'2", the most humble, meek, just peaceful soul I have ever experienced. This man was so peaceful. Like he didn't raise his voice. Like he was just grandpa, man. It's like everything he did, I wanted to do. Everywhere he went, I wanted to go. I was attached to the men in my life. I truly, truly was. And I'm blessed to have had men in my life who loved me. And my daddy as well. Oh, I was daddy's girl, honey. I was daddy's girl. My dad has swag. You know what I mean? Everything my daddy did, I wanted to do, But grandfather, like I said, like 6'2", 6'3", just humble, meek. My grandmother ain't no more than about 5 feet. She a firecracker, honey. It was just such an interesting dynamic. But, grandparents very involved in church. Always, grandfather chairman of the deacon board, X, Y, and Z. I remember being in choir rehearsal Monday night, Tuesday night, every week without fail. Go to church on Sundays when I wasn't with my parents, if I had to sing in the choir, something like that. But I remember my grandfather teaching me, and of course, this is when I was younger, probably like 6, 7 years old, in our living room, we had 2 couches. And the couch that was all the way to the back wall, that was the couch you don't sit on. Do you see what I'm saying? That was the don't nobody sit there couch unless there's something happening that is special or there's an occasion or something kind of couch. People of color, we know that everybody got that couch. My peoples didn't exactly have the plastic. It was just, you better not go over there, right? So grandpa would take me over there. He would sit me on his lap and we would sing hymns. We would sing hymns and he would, share stories with me. And we had the big old Bibles like this big. And he would, he taught me the Lord's Prayer. He would, teach me stories on lessons and morals and things like that. And that really stuck with me. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm so thankful for those moments. So family, we really got to understand, y'all, like it is so critical and important for us to teach our children the way. Family, too often we are so caught up in our own life that we're not teaching our kids the way. And I remember keeping these things in the back of my mind because, I was like, it was always in the back of my mind. It was guidance, y'all. It's so important for us to guide our children properly, right? So he did that. And those things stuck with me, right? So, moving forward, again, I used to go with my parents on the weekend. So again, it was two different worlds. So my parents, they're young, they're in their 20s. So, and mind you, a big portion of my childhood was in the 90s. So that's when the music and the movies and all that stuff, the 90s era, y'all, heavily influenced by that. My pops, me and my dad, when I was old enough to sit in the front seat, we used to ride down, and I'm from New York. We call it the Parkway. We used to ride down the Parkway, you know what I mean? Music blasting. We listen to everything. And I mean Snoop, Dre, and NWA, and, everything. My father was a hip hop head, you know what I mean? As most, brothers of that era was, had the high top fade, all that. Like my dad has such swag. It's hilarious. And, so we blasting this music down the block, riding, going where we need to go. We going to see the family, and things like that and everything like that. Because I was daddy's girl. If daddy was leaving, I was leaving. If he was going somewhere, I wanted to go. If he was doing something, I wanted to do it. If he was eating something, I wanted to eat it. Like, this is how I was with the men in my life. And, so we rolling, mind you, cussing. And again, there are some things that you just don't know. You just kind of, do what you do and you don't know, so we got the cussing, the MF and the itches and the, all of that, the F's and all of that. Come on, y'all know how the gangster rap was back. Y'all know they laid out every word. They laid it out. So what's happening is, and I just want us to understand the influence of music, this stuff is getting pumped into my spirit. I don't know. And he probably don't even know, because again, if you don't understand certain things spiritually, you just don't understand. But, we just thought we was cool. We were cool and we were chilling. But what this was doing, it was influencing. It was influencing. And then, not only that, listening to the R&B at the time, you got I Want to Sex You Up. You got Knocking the Boot. You got, all this music, the R&B, the hip hop. I mean, just the 90s was just glorious. It was just, you just had it all, right? And see, I was a person who's so influenced by music to this day, right? Like, I was the one who would know the song word for word. Do you see what I'm saying? And I let it get into my spirit. And I just know, and from that, I didn't know this at an early age, but, how do I say it? I'm influenceable. And it's not until I was able to recognize that I know what to ward off and what to receive, because I'm influenceable, right? My spirit receives easily. So, so with all of this, so I'm this young child, and I'm just receiving all of this. My parents are cool. They're cool. You know what I mean? Again, no fault. They did not know, but they're cool. So all the while, this is all programming me, right? And then, the movies, they watch what they watch. If I was around, I was watching it too. And I remember, like, when we used to see the trailers on TV, my mom would be like, oh, we got to see that. So she used to take me to the movies to see what she was seeing. I remember all the movies, Poetic Justice and, Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood. My gosh, I used to watch those movies all the time. Mind you, I'm like not even 10 years old yet. Watching this stuff all the time. You feel me? I went to see half of them in the movie theater. You got the house parties, the class act, the Menace to Society, South Central. I mean, all of these movies, of course, what do they have in the movies? Spray them up scenes and sex. Now that's the part that I was excited about. All that shooting, whatever. But, they having some sex. Yeah, I wanted to watch that. Do you see what I'm saying? And it's almost like that was the start. That was the start. That's where the beast became loose. That is where the enemy influenced me. Sex, right? So I will be watching these movies, all these things, so between the radio, the music, television shows, right? You got the, I don't know if you remember the 90s sitcoms when somebody was kissing, they're like, ooh, the studio audience type of thing. I'm up here watching The Living Color. I'm watching Living Single. I'm watching Martin. I'm watching all this stuff that's not appropriate for children. And when I saw the sex, it seemed like it was so amazing. It seemed like it was such an experience. It seemed like it was this transformative, this magical experience, so the sex, I wanted to know more. Tell me about the sex, so I was programmed. Y'all. I was programmed. And just to pause for a minute, a lot of times we don't understand where that promiscuous spirit came from. Come on, y'all. We don't know where it came from when all along the things that we received in our spirit, the things we were programmed, and the things we listened to, the things we were exposed to, and all that stuff by our family members. Bless their heart, they didn't know, but the things that we were exposed to, right, planted seeds for those things to grow in our spirit and grow in our life. And then we had the opportunity to act on it, right? It was a thing that was rooted in us. And if we had daddy issues and all these things manifested in that stuff. We are hearing so much now about how people don't have value and how this one has this kid here and that kid there. Well, you know what? When you are getting sex pumped into your spirit time after time and day after day, and y'all know how the radio is, it repeats the same songs over and over and over again, and it is literally pumping these things into your spirit. What do? You have sex. Am I making excuses? No, but I do want us to understand that, it ain't all, a lot of this stuff is in our subconscious, so we ain't even know. We were just kind of acting out on what we were programmed in, right? So we're going to take responsibility now. We're going to acknowledge these things, and what we're going to do, we're going to uproot this stuff from our spirit so that we can move forward with power, right? So, by me watching all of this stuff, moving forward now, by me watching all this stuff, the sex, I was one who began to masturbate. I was a masturbator. Sure was. I probably started this like 10 years old. I had seen so much. And also, I had a television in my room. At Grandma and Grandpa's house, I had my own room. At Grandma and Grandpa's house, I had my own room. In that room, I had my own TV. And I remember when my grandparents used to go to bed, and they used to shut the house down. The whole house dark, shut it down, right? I used to put a piece of cloth or clothing or blanket underneath against the door crack, so they can't see, right? Come on. See, this, I began scheming and becoming sneaky. You see what I'm saying? I put a blanket under against the door, so the door crack, it would be dark. And I would turn that TV on, and mind you, in my house we had cable, and with those cable channels, we had HBO. Y'all, when I tell you, HBO was that right there was a big part of my problem. HBO showed everything. So, we had HBO. I discovered this. So, I turned the TV all the way down, just very low, because where the TV was, I was able to hear it. I have it down really, really low. And, I would watch HBO. And they had shows literally, and I don't know if y'all remember this, they had a show called Real Sex. I will never forget that show, called Real Sex. There was a show called Dream On. There were all types of just crazy shows, crazy movies that had sex. And yes, on that show, Real Sex, I used to love that when they used to literally show you how to masturbate. They used to literally have interviews with people in sex camps and all this crazy stuff. And I'm watching this. I'm like 10 years old, 11 years old. So yeah, I used to love it when it was nighttime. I couldn't wait till it was nighttime because I was able to touch myself. I was able to masturbate, and that's where it all started, y'all. And I used to do this like every night. It was like I couldn't wait till the day was over because I was like, woo, yeah, and I knew how to execute. I knew how to execute. So, is this shameful to talk about? I used to be ashamed. I used to be ashamed, but now I just know this is a part of what it was, So, I'm probably about 10, 11 years old, going into middle school. And, I went to middle school 11. Yeah. So 10, 11 years old, going into middle school. Now I'm exploring boys. Oh boy. So I had my first little boyfriend. That was the first kiss. Literally, we used to walk home just so we can kiss. We did, I always had my little boyfriends for long term. Like I wasn't the type, sometimes kids be like, okay, that's my boyfriend this week. Next week, this is my boyfriend. No, my relationships, like I was 11 years old. We was like rocking for like 8, 9, 10 a year. You know what I mean? Like it was like that, So I had my boyfriend. And like I said, I'm not mentioning no names. I had my little first boyfriend, and we used to literally walk home so we could just kiss and stuff, And, I started getting in trouble because I wasn't coming home on a bus. I wasn't coming home on a bus, and, my grandmother was flipping out. I wanted to walk home because I wanted to kiss. I ain't thinking about you. I want to kiss. So, I started getting in trouble. So that started, and then we all, we spoke on the phone and things like that. He used to have to call the house phone because I had, but I wanted to kiss. Right. Then we move on into 7th grade, and I had a boyfriend, and that was serious, y'all. Like this situation, I forgot what happened with me and the first boyfriend. We ended up breaking up. I don't know. I think it was because we was going to 7th grade. We was going in different classes. And I know when I was growing up in the middle school, we had different sides. You had side A, side B. I think we was going to be on side A. It just didn't work, Um, and no, this was serious though. The second one, literally, he was a year older than me, and I can say he was my first love. Like, I had never been attached to anyone like this. Like, he changed things for me. Like, we used to, of course, walk home, and he we were inappropriate. That's where I learned more of the touching. That's when I saw one for the first time. That's like a lot of things with him, that there were a lot of firsts. I did not, engage in intercourse at that time, but we used to literally go to a park. There was a school that was not too far because we lived, fairly close, like a few blocks from each other. And there was a school, an elementary school that wasn't far from us. And, we used to, because we were both good students. I can say that about myself. I can say I'm always in my studies, right? We do our homework. We do our homework. And, we talk junk, blah, blah, blah. And, like, we will go in, like, touching, just everything, just private part touching, all that stuff, That's when I experienced that type of stuff for the first time. And it was so intense that it was almost kind of scary. It was like, I really felt like the girls in the movies. Like, I don't know if y'all know what I mean. I really felt like the girls in the movies. Like, okay, this is crazy. Like, I'm like, yo, to the point where I was scared to have sex with him because I'm like, yo, I'm going to end up pregnant messing with this dude. Like, this is too much. And, with that, it was creating chaos. It was creating chaos in my life. I was like, okay, I'm too young for this, and this is getting a little too deep. You know what I mean? So, he was going into high school the next year. I was going into 8th grade. So, it kind of, I kind of just broke up with him because it was creating chaos. I mean, I was really getting in trouble because I was staying out till late, like till staying out. It was like getting dark, and it's like it was like we had to be around one another. It was getting crazy. So I was like, all right, this is becoming a little too much. And my grandmother, when she wasn't the type to correct, she was the type to straight criticize. She used to call me hoe. She used to call me, you black this, you this, you. I mean, she used to just go in on me. She was the one that wanted to hurt you. If you had an argument, she wants to hurt you. She wants to, and bless her, and may she rest in peace. I've forgiven her for all this stuff, but it was her objective to hurt, right? So, the arguments used to get crazy. Because I'm like, nah, you're not going to be sitting here disrespecting me like that. You know what I mean? When you don't even understand what I'm going through. At this point, grandpa ain't singing the hymns with me no more. Those tight male connections that I had weren't there anymore. Daddy had to work more. And plus I was just getting older. Daddy had to work more, certain things. He was working on the weekends. I ain't seen him as much as I used to. You know what I mean? Grandpa getting older, so those connections that I had that grounded me. And plus I felt shame because I knew what I was doing at night. Come on. So it's like you don't understand what I'm going through. So when you see your child acting out, there's a reason. And we have to, as adults, really take a minute to dissect that and be like, okay, something's going on here. Let's not start criticizing our daughters, criticizing our sons, calling them names. Oh, you got this, you bitch, cursing them. I mean, I've seen people straight curse their kids out, you little MF, you little BITC. We got to stop with that foolishness. We are destroying our kids. If we see something happening, we be like, okay, I notice a change. So let me use wisdom. Because see, this is what the wisdom of the Most High does, y'all. That's why this word is so important, right? Let me use wisdom. And though my grandparents were in church, every weekend. They didn't understand, you know, and my grandfather, bless his heart, he was clueless about stuff. It was mainly my grandmother, you know, though she was in church, you know, you had those that were in church for show. You had those who lived their life in criticism. She probably was criticized her whole life. So she didn't know anything else to do but to criticize. Do you see what I'm saying? That's why healing for ourselves is so important, and accountability for ourselves is so important, because what happens is you take those things that were in your past and you project that and move that on into your future, and you are moving negative energies and negative spirits into your future. So it is so important for us to heal, y'all. That's why I said we got to get real so we can heal. So I pray that this video is helping somebody, and if it is, you know, please drop a comment and like, subscribe, share, because family, this is so important for us to understand. There are people who don't understand or realize why they're dealing with the things they're dealing with, or what's happening, right? Because they don't even know the root of it. And what I'm telling you is, if you're dealing with certain situations, you got to go way back. And it's not until I did this work on myself that I realized, like, yo, this sparked from something. Right? So it is just so important for us to, you know, realize that. So please, family, share this video out, because somebody got to hear this. There's someone feeling worthless right now and feeling like something is wrong with them when they were influenced and programmed and things were rooted in them that they got to uproot. And when you uproot these things, and when you have the partnership of the right coach, right? And if it's really, really deep, you may need to go to therapy, right? To help you move through these things, right? So you can get to your place of healing, y'all, and get to your place of peace and purpose and breakthrough, right? And that's what I'm here to do, Operating by Design with Coach Kat Ajayi, right? So we have moved forward from that. So now we going to 8th grade, and, you know, had a boyfriend then. And this is when I started having sex. You know, I started dating this guy on a dare. You know, one thing I noticed is I needed somebody to fill voids. I needed someone. I always felt empty. I always felt empty. And I needed guys to fill the void. Like I said, the men who were like my heroes in life, things had changed. So I needed someone to fill those voids. And that's why I turned to boys. I turned to sex. I felt like it was, you know, filling voids. But of course, that's not what it was doing. It was creating dependencies, and it was giving Satan an opportunity to have a field day in my spirit. Do you see what I'm saying? So yeah, this is when I started having sex in 8th grade. You know, I started to realize my power then. I was like, oh, this is what I can do. Oh, this is what can happen. Oh, this is how it works. You know, so I kind of took that and ran. I took that and ran. That boyfriend, he broke up with me. I was lied on, and I know he really loved me, and I, you know, really, really, you know, have feelings for him too. You know, we did everything together. We, you know, like, this is the one that my parents even allowed. They allowed us to go to the movies. They allowed us to hang out. They allowed us to do stuff. You know what I mean? And, you know, I want to also say, be careful with that. Be careful with that, y'all, because these little situationships can lead to some real situations. We want to be very careful with that. I praise y'all. You know, we ain't conceived nobody. But yeah, we sure did used to have sex. Yes, we did. Oh, yes, we did. You know what I mean? So we got to be careful entertaining that stuff. Like, we got to talk to our daughters and say, no, honey. And I mean, we got to start this from like young. Like, we can't be waiting until they're 13. You know, like, I have a daughter and I teach her now. She's 7. I've been teaching her since she was like a baby. You save your body. You save yourself. You don't do certain things. But it also helps that her brothers talk the way that they do, because she has 3 older brothers. And it helps that they talk the way they do, because I use everything as a lesson. I'll be like, so you see how your brothers be talking about all these girls? You don't want to be that girl they talking about. Do you see what I'm saying? So, you know, you just got to know how you got to guide your children. I tell her she's precious. She's a gem. She's a jewel. Her body is precious. She don't let nobody touch her body. She don't let nobody have her body or any of these things. The one that gets her body is the man that she marries, who's going to love her forever. I say, you don't want to make the same mistakes that mommy made. I tell her I made mistakes. We got to stop acting like we did it perfect, y'all. I tell her I made mistakes, right? I tell her I make mistakes, and I keep it 100 with her. I keep it 100 with all my children. Mommy has messed up in her life. I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I made because it caused me a whole lot of pain. And I don't want you to experience the pain that I experienced. So please, baby girl, when I tell you, I'm not trying to criticize you and I'm not trying to beat you up. I'm not calling you no bitch. I'm not cursing you out. I'm not trying to make you feel like you. See, I don't do that to her. I teach her and say, because I love you. And I asked her, I'm like, do you believe that mommy loves you? And she says, yes. I'm like, because I love you, I'm trying to tell you something that will save you from a lot of pain. And I'm like, do you want to feel pain? And she says, no. I said, okay, so please just listen to what mommy says because she wants to help you and she wants to guide you. This is how we have to talk to our children, family. We can't be criticizing them when they make a mistake, and we can't be letting them do whatever, act however, and whatever the case may be. And then when they get to the age where they're, acting out, we want to curse them out. No, baby, you need to take responsibility. Make sure you correct the environment that you have your children in so that it can grow up in an environment that nourishes them and nurtures their spirit so that you ain't got to even worry about this stuff in the first place. Do you see what I'm saying? We're doing this wrong. My daughter don't listen to no Megan Thee Stallion. She don't listen to no Nicki Minaj. She don't even know what that mess is. What does she listen to? She listens to praise and worship. Okay? She watches shows called Superbook and Christian cartoons and things like that. She don't even get exposed because I saw what exposure did. Do you see what I'm saying? So we got to be very careful with this, family. We can't be thinking that you can have your daughters and your sons listening to whole thought stuff and then they end up not being a hoe or a thought. It don't make no sense. It don't make no sense, and we got to stop, right? So, ninth grade, start dating dudes from out of town. You know what I mean? Then 10th grade, he comes along. Oh, this one comes along. We'll just call him C. He comes along. Now, this was a very unique situation. This is an individual unlike anyone I've ever met in my life. Mind you, I'm 15 years old when we meet. I know he was turning 16 that same month that we met. When I say we acted grown, I really mean that. We did things that were so inappropriate. Gosh, I don't even know how to start with this one. The sex, man, we used to just have sex, cut school, have sex, after school, have sex, just sex. Like it was lust. It was lustful. You know what I mean? But with this one, it was, how do I say it? I mean, he had a personality unlike anyone I ever met. He got what he wanted. You hear me? Like, he got what he wanted. And he just had a way of finessing things and getting what he wants. And, he was the one that bought the flower. He used to buy me flowers. He, phones. He bought me my first phone. He bought me the pagers. He, limos and private cars and fancy dinners and, hotels. And this is what, mind you, 17 years old. He proposed to me even. I was 16. He proposed to me, asked me to marry him. All this type of stuff, but it got weary. Now I know there's people that, girl, you got it, man. Oh, no, honey. When you're that young and you don't even know yourself and you're dealing with those type of experiences, it causes a lot of confusion. And I really started getting in trouble with him because, I used to spend the night out. I used to, of course I was cutting school, spending the night out, just doing all types of stuff I ain't had no business doing. And I really was getting in trouble now. It was really causing conflict. But see, this is the thing. He has so much charm that he used to work and finesse, you know what I mean? And mind you, we were both in church together. um, but that's what being there means and not being there. If y'all know what I mean. We was just doing whatever. And I almost had in my mind, well, I could do whatever because my grades are good. I work and my grades are good. So what are y'all talking about? You know what I mean? Like, I felt like I was grown. I said, I handle my business though. It ain't like I'm up here and not doing what I need to do. I handle my business. You know what I mean? And it's like, y'all was so disconnected from what's going on with me anyway. Why do I even, like, I was disrespectful to the people in my life because I'm like, yo, y'all don't even understand me. I'm up here crying out for help and y'all don't even see it. So at this point, because y'all don't see it and y'all don't even seem to care, I'm just gonna self-soothe, and I self-soothe by having sex. What started happening is I was losing myself. I had dreams. I was one of those a big dreamer. I knew what I wanted. I knew what I wanted to do in my life. I just knew. But what I started to see happening is that my program started to try to shift to his program. It was almost like it was all encompassing. It was all consuming. You know what I mean? My program started to switch to his program. He's like, well, I understand that's what you want to do, but I want us to get married and have kids and you not have to work it. And I'm like, excuse me, I'm 16. I'm 16. It's like bro, you pushing, you know what I mean? It's like I didn't even know myself. I had all this stuff and all these battles going on in my own mind, and then you going to try and impose, and I'm not going to say impose, but try and tell me what it is you want from me. I don't even know what I want from me. How am I going to know what you, how am I going to try and keep up with what you want from me? I don't even know what I want from me. You know what I mean? So yeah, I was like, okay, this is becoming a little too much. And, I wanted to break up. I was like, I don't want to do this no more. But again, wouldn't take no for an answer. Wouldn't take no for an answer. And, always ended up me. I was a type, I dealt with so much confrontation in my life. I argued so much in my life. I argued with my grandmother. I was arguing with my parents. I was arguing with teachers. I was arguing with everybody. I was so tired of confrontation. And I'm like, I don't need it from you too. So I used to be like, you know what, whatever. And then I was like, I'm going to be going to college soon. This is going to be coming to an end. I find out I'm pregnant. I find out I'm pregnant. My senior year of high school, I find out I'm pregnant. Now I'm thinking that it's, and mind you, when I was telling him I wanted to break up with him and things like that, I'm like, this is too much. I started talking to other dudes. I did. I'm like, I don't want to do this no more. So I was like, all right, you don't want to let me break up with you? Well, I'm going to do me. Okay. So, I started, talking to other dudes, and boy, oh boy, did that cause situations. But I find out I'm pregnant. I find out I'm pregnant in my senior year. And, man, I felt like my world collapsed. I just couldn't believe it. I was terrified. I was horrified. I was disappointed. I was every word you could think of. But I was told I should get an abortion. I was told that I'm ruining my life and all these things, but I kept my baby. And I'm so thankful I did, because right now he is a big, beautiful 20-year-old man person. And it's like, wow, I look at him, I said, man, I can't even believe, like, you're my, you're a human being that came out of me. You're so huge. Right. But he's amazing. But I went through a lot. My goal was to go to college to escape everything. I wanted to get away from my grandparents, everybody. I was wrecked to go. Do you see what I'm saying? I was wrecked to go. And, college was that great escape, honey. And I was going to go to the A. And let me tell you something. I believe y'all saved my life with my son, because Lord knows if I would have ended up in Atlanta, I would have been going on somebody's pole. I was obsessed with the Players Club. Do you see what I'm saying? This 90s influence. You know, you had the Crump era. Come on. So going to Atlanta in the Crump era, what? I would have been a mess, honey. So I truly believe y'all saved my life by giving me, our son. But I was like, all right, sis, you got some decisions to make. And, I decided to keep our child. And, I knew I had to make some adjustments. So, during that time, it was a lot of stuff. I guess with all the stuff I was doing to him, he started saying, all right, chick, I'm going to do some stuff. I'm going to get the clap back. I'm going to come back, and, we was dealing with situations and infidelity. I was the infidelity. And that's one thing about his and I situation. It was lots of infidelity. He messed around on me. I messed around on him. We messed around on each other. We just messing around. You know what I mean? It was just drama with our situation. Because it's almost, I'm not going to say we were in competition, but I was the type of person, like, I guess with me, I observe. And I'm like, all right, I see what you're doing to other people. I see how you talk to other people. I see how you finesse other people. You ain't gonna finesse me, bruh. So I guess knowing what I knew, I always had my guard up. Like, nah, because if I don't go along with you, this is what you're gonna try and do. And you ain't gonna do that to me. Right? So it was always this with us. It was always this with us. And it's like, nah, you not finessing me. I'm not gonna melt in your hands. You're not going to okie doke me. If I concede, it's because I chose to, not because you finessed me into it. Do you see what I'm saying? And I think, just even moving forward, like that is kind of just how the dynamic of our relationship was. I knew too much. I knew too much about the situation. So I'm like, no, I'm not letting that situation happen to me. So we have our child. I didn't want to be no baby mama, y'all. I was like, that is one thing I was just so against. I was like, I remember when I was in 8th grade, there was an assistant principal. And he said to me, this man used to get into it. Ooh, he was, couldn't stand him. But what he said to me, he said, you're going to lay up on your back pregnant and you're going to be a statistic. That's what the assistant principal said to me. And I was like, you know what? I'm like, I told him where he can go and what he can do. But that always stuck with me. And I said, I will not let this man be right. I kid you not. I was like, I will not let this man be right. So I was like, see, one thing I'm not going to be is a statistic. And one thing I'm not going to be is a baby mama. So, we go through our struggles. Like me and my son's father, and he's the father of all my children. We go through our struggles, all throughout our coming along. And, we go through breakups. We go through other relationships. And I guess it just got to a point. It was like, you know what? I was tired of it. And I'm like, you know what? This ain't going nowhere. Let's just get married. We just discussed it. Like, let's just get married. See, and me in my mind, because, TV, and you're thinking, oh, it's a fairy tale. And oh, these people, they get married and their life is just perfect after, honey. Let me tell you something. Marriage magnifies everything times 20. Okay? So we get married and, we have a big wedding and everything. We even have an argument the night before the wedding. I wanted to call the thing off. People that know me is like, girl, you sure? But I did it. And I was thinking this would just wipe our slate clean. And man, oh man, it just got worse. Because with me in my mind, I was like, okay, I'm married. So, I can't do that escape stuff no more. I can't mess around with dudes no more. I can't do that. Like, that's what was in my head. I can't do that no more. So it was like, I was feeling like trapped. And now instead of me escaping with guys, I started escaping with liquor and alcohol, escaping with smoking and escaping in that way. Right. I remember there was a time I got so desperate that I wanted him to leave me so bad. I wanted him to leave me. I said, Lord, please just go. That, it was even in a little entanglement. with a friend. Now we didn't go all the way, but I did some, we did some things that were inappropriate. But it wasn't all the way. It wasn't no intercourse or anything like that involved. But I just wanted him to leave. I'm like, leave me, just leave me. Like, let's just get this done. Like, it was just so much. But we ended up having 3 more children, and I guess I just got to a point. I mean, we were, I was just so desperate to try and make this relationship work. I did threesomes. I did, all this stuff. And let me sidetrack to that. Because listen, there's a lot of people that don't want to admit this stuff. Come on. We got to get real so we can heal. If a man ever wants you to do a threesome, y'all, ladies, if a man wants you to ever do a threesome and bring another woman into your bedroom, he does not love you. He does not love you. I know that's like becoming a thing. This open marriage is open. He don't love you, boo. That is not going to fix anything. That's not going to change anything. That's not going to make him closer to you. That's not going to make him want to be with you anymore. You're doing nothing but going and satisfying his needs and his desires. And you just left there. Let me tell you something. He don't love you if he is asking you to do that. So if a man asks you, your husband says to you that that's what he wants to do, you need to pray and ask Yah to deliver you from that situation. Come on, somebody, because that ain't love and that is not of God's will. Your husband is to protect you. Your husband is to cover you, not to bring you into sin. Come on, somebody. See, we got to talk about this stuff. See, everybody wants to tiptoe around stuff and be timid. We got to get this stuff correct, because if not, this is going to perpetuate into our future generations. If our daughters see us doing this, these are the things she's going to do, and she's going to think this is the norm. Please don't think that kids ain't paying attention, and please don't think that kids don't know. Do you see what I'm saying? So we have to be careful. We have to be careful. Join me on part 2, because you don't want to miss it, because let me tell you, deliverance is going to take place. Deliverance is going to happen, family. So I definitely want you to hear how this testimony progresses and all the wonderful things that Yah has done and all the wonderful things he's brought into my life. Even when I was an absolute mess and absolute chaos. Family, click on part 2 of my testimony to find out what happens next. You don't want to miss it. And in any way you are led to support this ministry, it is appreciated. Let's work together to uplift others so they too can become everything they were created to be. All the ways to give are in the description box below. I'll see you in the next part.